Welcome to Learn English Podcast every day. Your daily dose of fun, practical, and easy to understand English. Anytime, anywhere. Whether you're on the bus, cooking dinner, or taking a break, we've got you covered. This channel helps you improve your speaking and listening. So hit that subscribe bell and start your journey to confident English, one day at a time. Let's get started.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're diving straight into the latest, some of the most significant research updates in breast and lung cancer.
That's right. We've gone through, a lot of new findings, primarily from Science Daily's cancer sections.
Yeah, pulling out the key developments for you in these really vital areas.
And the goal, really, is to give you a clear but, comprehensive overview of the big advancements, the trends.
Think of it as your efficient way to stay plugged in, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Keep informed on the cutting-edge stuff without getting bogged down in the dense paper.
Exactly. We're saving you the trouble.
And we're covering quite a spectrum today, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Everything from new therapies, new screening methods.
To understanding risk factors, the basic biology of it all.
Yep. So let's kick things off. There's actually some encouraging news on the breast cancer front to start.
Good. Always like hearing that.
Well, one really positive trend that's emerged is a significant drop in breast cancer deaths.
Oh, really?
Yeah, specifically among women aged 20 to 49. This was between 2010 and 2020.
Okay, it's quite a drop. What do they think is behind that?
Well, it likely reflects the progress, in early detection, better treatments over the last decade or so.
Right. It suggests that research is actually, making a difference in the real world.
It definitely gives that indication, a cause for some optimism.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on to potential new treatments. I saw something about work in the lab, animal model.
Yes, exactly. Researchers have been looking at a combination of two existing compounds, basedoxifene and conjugated estrogens. This was in rats.
Okay, and what did they find?
Well, what's interesting here is that the combo didn't just lower the breast cancer risk in these models. It also seemed to improve their overall metabolic health.
Oh, wow. So a potential 2-for-1.
Potentially, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It raises this intriguing idea of future therapies that might do more than just prevent cancer, maybe impacting, diabetes risk, heart disease risk, too.
That's a fascinating angle. Now, moving away from sort of traditional drugs, there's this really innovative smart bomb therapy idea.
Yes, photodynamic therapy.
Can you break that down a bit? How does that work?
Sure. So it uses special chemicals, these cyanine carborane salts in this case, that are only activated by light.
Okay.
Think of it like a targeted explosive that only goes off when you shine a specific light on it.
Right, so you can pinpoint the cancer cells.
Exactly. The aim is to destroy metastatic breast cancer cells precisely, while hopefully minimizing damage to the healthy tissue nearby.
Sounds incredibly precise. Very cool.
Okay.
Now, switching gears a bit, diet. There was a study connecting something we eat to breast cancer growth.
Yes, and this one is, potentially a bit concerning. It involves linoleic acid.
Okay, what's that?
It's an omega-6 fatty acid. You find it in a lot of common seed oils, think soybean oil, safflower oil, and also in animal products like pork, eggs, things many people eat regularly.
Right, so what's the link?
This study suggested it could potentially promote the growth of a particularly aggressive type of breast cancer.
Wow. Okay, that definitely makes you think twice about, what's in the pantry?
It certainly prompts us to think more deeply about how specific dietary components might play a role.
No kidding. On a totally different note, mammograms. Seems they might be revealing more than we thought.
That's right. AI is getting involved here.
Artificial intelligence, how?
Researchers are using AI to analyze mammogram images, and the early signs suggest this analysis might uncover insights into heart health.
Beyond just cancer detection.
Exactly. So a standard cancer screening tool could potentially offer a more holistic view of a patient's health.
That's quite an unexpected bonus feature.
Isn't it?
Now, for a specific type of breast cancer, HER2 positive, estrogen receptor positive, there's research into a vaccine strategy.
Yes, and this is a really exciting area, immunotherapy, harnessing the body's own immune system.
Right, so what's the idea with the vaccine?
The goal is to develop a vaccine that basically trains the immune system to specifically recognize and attack these particular cancer cells.
Like giving the body's defenses a specific target.
Precisely. Teaching the body to fight its own cancer.
That's fascinating. And it's not just vaccines, right? There's progress with antibodies, too.
Correct. A new antibody has shown promise in slowing down tumor growth, especially in breast and ovarian cancers that have become resistant to other treatments.
Okay, how does this antibody work differently?
Well, what's significant here is that instead of directly attacking the cancer cell itself, it works by stimulating the patient's own immune system.
Ah, so it's an activator.
Sort of, yeah. It boosts the immune cell's ability to recognize and fight the cancer more effectively. This whole approach, leveraging the immune system, is a major focus right now.
It really seems like our own bodies might hold the key, or at least a big part of it.
It's a very promising direction.
Interestingly, there's also research looking at a common diabetes medication for cancer recovery.
Yes, research suggests this type of drug could potentially improve long-term recovery for cancer patients.
How so?
Specifically by reducing the risk of developing heart failure after cancer treatment. That's a big concern for many survivors.
Oh, absolutely. That would be huge for long-term quality of life.
It's very encouraging in that respect.
And the link between metabolism and aggressive breast cancer is also being looked at more closely. Something about obesity-driven diabetes and TNBC.
That's right. Triple-negative breast cancer, TNBC. It's known to be more aggressive.
And there's a potential link to obesity and diabetes.
Yes, researchers are digging into how the metabolic changes associated with obesity-driven diabetes might fuel this specific type of cancer. Understanding that connection is really important.
It's like trying to understand the fuel lines feeding the fire.
A good analogy. They're hoping to find new targets for prevention or treatment within those metabolic pathways.
Makes sense. And it seems even our basic understanding of how existing cancer drugs work is being, well, reevaluated.
It is. Scientists are challenging some traditional ideas about how drugs kill cancer cells, particularly concerning those key genes, BRCA1 and BRCA2.
Why revisit that?
A deeper understanding of the exact mechanisms could lead to entirely new strategies for designing more effective drugs down the line. Going back to basics, essentially.
To find better solutions.
Yeah.
And building on that, future drugs might even target the cancer cell's energy supply.
Exactly. Cancer cells grow so rapidly they need a huge amount of energy.
Right.
So disrupting their ability to generate that energy, cutting off their power source, if you will, is a very promising strategy being explored.
Like cutting off the power grid to the tumor.
Clever. And to speed up finding these new therapies, there are new computational tools. IDOMO.
Yes, IDOMO is a new computational tool designed to predict which drug combinations might work particularly well together.
Synergistic combination.
That's the idea. Using computer modeling to identify pairs of drugs existing or new that are likely to be more powerful together than alone, it could really accelerate finding better treatment regimens. A virtual shortcut to better treatments, potentially.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting focus a bit. There are some concerning trends about breast cancer in younger women.
Yes, unfortunately. Data from across all 50 states is showing that early onset breast cancer, so cases in women under 40, is rising.
That is concerning. Any idea why?
Well, what's also interesting is that there seem to be geographic variations, which suggests that, potential environmental factors in different places might be playing a role. Definitely needs more investigation.
Absolutely. Now, on a more fundamental level, there's this new atlas of aging breast tissue.
Yeah.
How does that help?
This atlas provides a really detailed map of how breast tissue changes as we age the cells, the structure.
Right.
And understanding these age-related changes helps us see how the tissue might become more susceptible to cancer development over time. It's crucial for designing age-specific strategies.
Like having a blueprint of how aging affects the tissue.
Got it.
There are also new insights into dual-target drugs, how they might help the immune system, too.
Right. So dual-target drugs attack cancer through multiple pathways at once, making it harder for the cancer to escape.
A double whammy.
Exactly. And this new research suggests some might also have the added benefit of boosting the body's own immune response against the tumor simultaneously.
That's a great combination. And it turns out even tiny changes at the molecular level can have big effects. Something about the vimentin protein.
Absolutely. Researchers found that disrupting just one single amino acid, one building block in this protein called vimentin, can make breast cancer cells behave more like stem cells.
And stem-like cells are more aggressive.
Often, yes. They have a greater ability to spread. It really highlights how even seemingly small changes inside the cell can drive cancer progression.
Underscores the complexity. And scientists also found that breast cancers at all stages share defining characteristics in their genome structure.
Yes. This is a key finding. It suggests the fundamental genetic architecture is set quite early. meaning that targeting these core underlying genetic processes could be effective even in the early stages of the disease, hitting the root blueprint, so to speak.
Right. Now, beyond the physical disease, there's the emotional toll, fear of recurrence.
Hugely important. A recent study really emphasized how significant the fear of cancer returning is for survivors.
How does it affect them?
It impacts their emotional well-being, their behavior, thinking, relationships, even their work lives. Addressing this psychological aspect is just vital for comprehensive care.
A stark reminder that healing is more than just physical. Now, this sounds really out there. Using engineered fat cells to start cancer.
It's definitely innovative. The concept is to modify fat cells so they compete with cancer cells for essential nutrients.
So they basically outcompete the cancer for food.
That's the idea. Deprive the cancer cells of what they need to grow. It's a very creative metabolic approach from an unexpected angle.
A clever biological trick indeed.
Yeah.
And for a particularly tough type, metaplastic breast cancer, they've identified 2 existing drugs that show potential.
Yes, metaplastic breast cancer is very challenging, often doesn't respond well to standard therapies.
So finding potential options is significant.
Absolutely. Identifying these 2 inhibitor drugs offers much-needed hope for patients with this diagnosis.
Okay, shifting to screening again. Brain MRIs for late-stage breast cancer patients, should they be routine?
Well, a new study suggests we might need to reconsider. It found that asymptomatic brain metastasis spread to the brain without symptoms is actually more common in stage 4 patients than previously thought.
So screening might catch it earlier.
That's the question it raises. Could routine brain MRIs lead to earlier detection and maybe improve outcomes? It's a complex issue with big implications.
Definitely. Now, this is surprising. Digoxin, a heart medication, showing promise related to cancer.
Yes, quite unexpected. Research found that digoxin seems to be able to dissolve clusters of circulating breast cancer cells in the bloodstream.
And those clusters are linked to metastasis.
They're thought to be more likely to form new tumors elsewhere, so this suggests digoxin might potentially play a role in reducing metastasis risk.
Wow, an old drug, new trick perhaps. And speaking of combinations, there's one involving interferon I for melanoma and breast cancer.
Right. Interferon is an immune signaling molecule. They're combining it with another agent applied locally, directly to the tumor site.
What's the strategy there?
To stimulate a body-wide immune response with the interferon while also hitting the tumor directly. A dual approach for a more powerful, localized effect.
Makes sense. Now, this next one sounds almost too good to be true, even though it's early days. Single-dose eliminating tumors in mice.
It is incredibly promising, generates a lot of excitement. A drug candidate eliminated breast cancer tumors in mice with just 1 dose.
But the key word is mice.
Exactly. Crucial to remember this is preclinical, not tested in humans yet. But these dramatic results in animal models are a very important step in drug development.
A critical first step, absolutely. And for managing side effects like fatigue and metastatic breast cancer. Therapy over the phone.
Yes, positive news there. A trial showed that ACT acceptance and commitment therapy delivered by phone can effectively reduce the impact fatigue has on survivors' lives. Activity, mood, thinking.
That's wonderful. Making support more accessible is key.
Definitely improves quality of life.
And it seems discoveries often cross over between cancer types, a breast cancer drug trial, potentially helping with blood cancers.
Yeah, this highlights a fundamental thing. Different cancers sometimes share similar underlying mechanisms or weaknesses.
So a drug targeting one might work for another.
Exactly. It means a drug developed for breast cancer might also hit a target relevant in certain blood cancers, potentially speeding up new options across diseases.
Cross-cancer benefit. And for high-risk HER2 positive patients, post-surgery treatment with TDM1, big survival benefit.
Yes, the data is very compelling. Trastuzumab emtansine, or TDM1, given after surgery significantly improved long-term survival, reducing the risk of recurrence or death.
Really underscores the importance of tailoring treatment.
Precisely, based on the cancer's specific characteristics.
On the diagnostic side, clearing up uncertainties in BRCA2 genetic testing. Why is that clarity so important?
Well, having a clear understanding of genetic changes in key genes like BRCA2 is absolutely vital for accurately assessing someone's risk.
For personalized screening and prevention decisions.
Exactly. It helps patients and doctors make much more informed choices about managing risk. That clarity provides real peace of mind.
Big difference. Now, this is an interesting mix. Magnetic fields boosting chemotherapy.
Yeah, physics meets medicine. They're exploring using localized magnetic fields non-invasively.
To do what?
To try and increase the concentration of chemo drugs right inside the tumor, the field might improve the uptake by cancer cells.
Better outcomes with fewer side effects, potentially.
That's the hope. More targeted delivery.
Clever. And for studying how cancer spreads, metastasis, there are new ways to grow circulating tumor cells as mini tumors in the lab.
Yes, this is significant. Circulating tumor cells, or CTCs, are essentially the seeds of metastasis.
The cells that travel and start new tumors.
Right. Being able to grow them reliably in the lab gives us a much better model to study how metastasis works and, crucially, to test new therapies aimed at blocking that spread.
A vital tool for understanding and stopping spread. Okay, risk factors. A link between heart disease and advanced breast cancer.
It appears so. A study found patients diagnosed with late-stage or metastatic breast cancer were significantly more likely to have had cardiovascular disease before their cancer diagnosis compared to those diagnosed earlier.
Suggests a potential connection.
It warrants further investigation, certainly. An important link to be aware of.
And for managing the anxiety that often comes with scans. CBD.
Yes. A study is exploring whether cannabidiol, CBD, can help reduce anxiety levels, specifically in advanced breast cancer patients undergoing imaging scans.
Trying to ease that psychological burden.
Exactly. Addressing both the physical and mental well-being.
Unfortunately, more concerning data on rising rates in younger women, this time from Canada.
Yes, it mirrors the trend we saw in the U.S. data. Incidence is rising in women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, in Canada, too.
Really emphasizes the need to understand what's driving this early onset disease.
Urgently, yes.
AI again, this time assisting with mammogram analysis to potentially reduce unnecessary follow-up tests.
Right. AI algorithms are being trained to analyze mammograms very accurately.
To help radiologists.
The idea is they could help identify which findings are truly suspicious versus likely benign. Potentially fewer false positives, less anxiety, less unnecessary testing.
Could really streamline screening. And good news on the surgery front. Less extensive surgery might mean fewer cases of lymphedema.
Yes, research suggests less extensive surgery correlates with fewer instances of that arm swelling lymphedema, which can be a really significant long-term quality of life issue for survivors.
Definitely welcome news for patients. Now for prevention. Looking at exhausted immune cells in healthy women.
This is fascinating. The idea is that in some healthy people, their immune cells might become less effective at finding and killing early cancer cells. They get exhausted.
So the goal is to prevent that exhaustion.
Exactly. By understanding why it happens, maybe we can develop strategies to keep the immune system vigilant, potentially lowering cancer risk in the first place. A very proactive approach.
Very proactive. And this concept of malignancy hibernation, what's that about?
It refers to cancer cells becoming dormant, inactive. Researchers increasingly recognize these hibernating cells can persist after treatment.
And then wake up later, causing recurrence.
Precisely. So understanding how they enter and exit this dormancy is a key focus for achieving long-term cancer control, keeping those sleeping cells asleep for good.
Right. AI, again, now being used to predict individual breast cancer risk. Deep learning models.
Yes. These sophisticated AI systems analyze huge amounts of data genetics, lifestyle, medical history to find complex patterns and predict an individual's likelihood of developing breast cancer.
For more personalized risk assessment and prevention.
That's the goal.
And for delivering treatments more precisely. A GPS nanoparticle platform.
Think of it like a tiny, targeted delivery truck. Nanoparticles engineered to recognize and bind specifically to breast cancer cells.
Carrying the drug payload directly to the target.
Exactly. Minimizing exposure to healthy tissues, potentially increasing effectiveness. The GPS is the targeting mechanism.
That precision sounds incredibly beneficial. And finally, for breast cancer, strong evidence supporting annual screening starting at age 40.
That's correct. The research strongly indicates starting annual mammograms at 40 leads to earlier detection when cancers are more treatable and ultimately saves more lives. Reinforces those guidelines.
Okay, that was a really comprehensive tour of breast cancer research. Incredible amount happening.
Truly is.
Now, let's switch gears to lung cancer. Also, a lot of significant findings there, and we should probably start with a pretty stark contrast in screening rates.
Yes, this is quite striking and frankly concerning. Screening rates for breast and colorectal cancer are nearly 4 times higher than for lung cancer among those eligible.
4 times higher. Wow. That highlights a huge gap.
It really does. There's a critical need to boost awareness, access, and uptake of lung cancer screening. Early detection dramatically improves survival, so this disparity is a major issue.
Absolutely crucial. Now, a study found a link between age-related genetic changes in blood cells and poorer prognosis in cancers, including lung cancer.
That's right. It's a phenomenon called clonal hematopoiesis, basically, accumulating mutations in blood cells as we age.
Okay.
This study found these same mutated blood cells can also be present within tumors, and their presence seems linked to worse outcomes, possibly by affecting the tumor environment or the immune response.
Interesting link between aging, blood, and cancer progression, turning to therapies, promising news about a new type of cell therapy for advanced tumors, including lung cancer.
Yes, cell therapies are really innovative. This involves taking immune cells, modifying them in the lab to be better cancer fighters, and infusing them back.
Supercharging the patient's immune cells.
Essentially, yes. This particular therapy is showing encouraging results in solid tumors like lung cancer, which is a significant step.
Good to see progress there. And another potential immune boost, activating B cells to enhance TIL therapy.
Right. TIL therapy uses immune cells that have naturally invaded the tumor. This new research suggests activating B cells, the antibody producers, could amplify the TIL therapy's effectiveness.
Making it more potent?
Potentially, yes. Another angle on immunotherapy.
Okay. Now, a slightly surprising finding about a faulty gene and risk of a punctured lung. More common than thought.
Yes, new estimates suggest a specific faulty gene might put as many as 1 in 3,000 people at a significantly higher risk of a spontaneous punctured lung.
1 in 3,000. That's much higher than previous estimates.
It is. Could have implications for genetic screening and awareness.
Definitely something to be aware of. Back to immunotherapy for lung cancer.
Yeah.
They've identified a protein, DDX54, that seems to block its effectiveness, a master regulator of resistance.
Identifying DDX54 is a really significant step. If it's acting as a roadblock to immunotherapy,
then targeting it could overcome that resistance.
That's the hope. It opens the door to developing new treatments that specifically target DDX54, potentially making immunotherapy work for more lung cancer patients.
Finding the roadblock and figuring out how to clear it makes sense. And for personalized medicine, a post-treatment blood test showing promise for guiding future therapy.
Yes, these are liquid biopsies. This test measures tiny amounts of cancer-derived molecules still in the bloodstream after initial treatment,
indicating residual disease or recurrence risk.
Exactly. It gives doctors valuable information to tailor the next steps, follow-up therapy, monitoring for that specific patient. More informed, timely adjustments.
Very helpful. Now, connection between diet and how lungs respond to poor nutrition. Implications for lung cancer.
The research indicates our dietary choices can influence the health and resilience of our lungs at a cellular level.
How so?
It might affect how lung cells handle various stresses, potentially including those that contribute to cancer development over time. Another piece highlighting lifestyle's importance.
Interconnected systems. And, interestingly, lungs might have a backup role in making red blood cells, not just bone marrow.
Yes, surprisingly, research shows the lungs actually play a role in red blood cell production, supporting the bone marrow, highlights the multifaceted nature of our organs.
Fascinating biological redundancy. And some aggressive lung cancer cells can develop their own electrical networks.
It's quite amazing. They can form interconnected networks to communicate using electrical signals, a bit like nerves.
Why would they do that?
It might help them coordinate growth and survival. It presents a totally novel target. Maybe therapies could disrupt those signals.
Their own internal communication grid. Wild. Scientists also found a weakness, an enzyme called GUK1.
Yes, GUK1 boosts lung cancer cell metabolism, giving them energy to grow fast.
So inhibiting it could starve them.
That's the idea. Develop drugs targeting GUK1 to disrupt their energy supply and slow tumor growth. Another potential Achilles heel.
And for earlier detection, a low-cost breath sensor, identifying biomarkers.
This shows promise for a non-invasive, potentially much more accessible screening method, analyzing chemicals and exhaled breath for early signs of lung cancer.
Before symptoms even appear, that could be huge.
Could significantly improve early detection rates if it pans out.
And related to that, tumor DNA in the blood ctDNA predicting outcomes.
Yes, these liquid biopsy tests looking for circulating tumor DNA are increasingly important. This research further supports using them to predict the likely course of a patient's lung cancer.
Helping doctors make more informed decisions.
Exactly.
Another predictive test, Oracle. Better survival prediction at diagnosis?
Apparently so. Having a more accurate way to predict prognosis early on is incredibly valuable for patients and doctors. Aids treatment decisions, setting expectations, supportive care.
Better information empowers everyone. Now this is unique. Inhalable therapy inspired by mussels.
Yeah, clever biomimicry. Mussels stick really well underwater using special proteins.
Okay.
Scientists developed inhalable drug formulations with similarly sticky mucoadhesive properties.
So the inhaled drug sticks better in the lungs.
That's the goal. Higher drug concentration right at the tumor site, potentially improving effectiveness. Nature-inspiring innovation.
Very cool. And detecting those circulating tumor cells using biolaser.
It's a highly sensitive method, using lasers interacting with blood samples to detect even tiny numbers of CTCs, crucial for understanding and maybe preventing spread.
Precise detection. And scans that light up treatment-resistant tumors.
Yes, using special chemical compounds taken up by resistant cells, making them visible on scans like BT scans.
Helping doctors see the extent of resistant cancer.
Exactly. Guiding more targeted treatment for these difficult cases.
Could be a game changer. Now, looking at the big picture, prevention and screening have saved more lives from major cancers, including lung, than treatment advances alone over decades.
That's a powerful finding. It really underscores the immense value of public health efforts preventing cancer, detecting it early through screening.
Treatment advances are vital, but
Stopping it before it starts or catching it early has had a profound impact. Prevention and early detection are incredibly powerful.
absolutely. Interestingly, research is also looking at why cancer risk might decline in the very elderly.
Lab research suggests there might be protective mechanisms kicking in at a cellular level in very advanced age, slower cell division, maybe more resistance to damage.
Understanding those could lead to new prevention strategies.
Potentially, yes. Mimicking those natural protective effects. Fascinating area.
For rare aggressive cancers, combining immunotherapy, pembrolizumab, with chemo.
Yes, showing promise. It's a two-pronged attack. Chemo kills dividing cells directly. Immunotherapy boosts the body's own defenses, can be beneficial for aggressive cancers.
A powerful combo. And using microcellular drones, extracellular vesicles for drug delivery.
Right. These are tiny sacs naturally released by cells. Scientists are engineering them to carry anti-cancer drugs.
That's targeting molecules.
Exactly. To deliver the payload directly to lung cancer cells, more effective, potentially fewer side effects. Targeted delivery at the micro level.
Amazing. And uncovering new ways mutant RAS proteins drive tumor growth.
Yes, RAS is a common cancer driver. This new research found an additional mechanism beyond the known pathways, offering new potential targets. Deeper understanding is key.
Absolutely. Back to breath analysis, detecting specific chemical compounds for early diagnosis.
Research is progressing rapidly here, identifying panels of volatile organic compounds, VOCs, in breath specific to early lung cancer.
Aiming for a simple breathalyzer-like screening device.
That's the long-term goal. Convenient, non-invasive screening.
And high levels of methylmalonic acid weakening immune cells in lung cancer.
Yes, suggests metabolic changes from the cancer might actually impair the body's ability to fight back. High levels of this byproduct might interfere with immune cell function, another potential target.
The complex interplay between cancer and the immune system again. And understanding normal lung development, like the role of the IGF-BP3 protein. How does that help with cancer?
Understanding the normal blueprint helps identify what goes wrong in cancer. Key proteins like IGF-BP3 involved in development can reveal targets for therapies aiming to correct abnormal processes hijacked by cancer.
Got it. For specific NSCLC patients with certain mutations, dual immunotherapy plus chemo might be better.
Yes, highlights personalized medicine. Identifying specific tumor mutations helps predict who's more likely to benefit from certain combinations, like 2 immunotherapies plus chemo, tailored treatment.
Matching treatment to the tumor. And in mice, special immune cells stopping metastasis, preventing escape cells from forming new tumors.
A fascinating discovery. If we can understand how these immune cells naturally prevent metastasis, we might develop therapies to mimic or boost that defense in humans, unlocking the body's own defense against spread.
Incredible potential.
Yeah.
And for lung cancer spread to the brain, the drug AM101 enhancing radiation effectiveness.
Yes, brain mets are tough to treat. AM101 seems to make brain tumors more sensitive to radiation. Anything that improves treatment in that difficult situation is a welcome advance.
Definitely. Combination treatments boosting immunotherapy response in mice studies too.
Yes, exploring various combos immunotherapy plus a targeted drug or 2 different immunotherapies, aiming for a synergistic effect to overcome resistance, working together for stronger effect.
And mRNA cancer vaccines, showing promise in early trials.
A lot of excitement there. using mRNA tech, like in COVID vaccines, to train the immune system against cancer-specific proteins. Early results in advanced cancers, including lung, are encouraging.
Innovative way to harness the body's machinery. Now, BMI and cancer therapy mortality, it's complex.
More complex than we thought, especially in lung cancer. The impact of BMI might vary depending on the therapy, like immunotherapy. It's not a simple linear relationship. Muscle mass, overall health likely matter too.
Not just the number on the scale. And identifying a new, rare type of small cell lung cancer affecting younger non-smokers.
Yes, important to identify these rare subtypes. Allows for accurate diagnosis, understanding unique biology, and developing tailored treatments for these specific groups. That personalized approach again.
Right. AI assisting pathologists with diagnosis from tissue samples, improving accuracy.
Yes, AI algorithms analyzing digital pathology images can spot subtle patterns, assisting pathologists for faster, more accurate diagnoses, a valuable tool for medical professionals.
And a diabetes drug potentially overcoming chemo resistance in lung cancer.
Some research suggests certain diabetes drugs might interfere with resistance mechanisms in lung cancer cells, potentially making chemo effective again. Another example of repurposing.
And nanoimmunotherapy, using nanoparticles for delivery.
Yes, delivering immunotherapy agents via nanoparticles directly to the tumor environment in the lungs. Targeted delivery, potentially enhancing effectiveness and reducing side effects. More focused, potentially safer.
Ultra-sensitive liquid biopsies detecting cancer even earlier.
Yes, next-gen tests detecting incredibly tiny amounts of cancer biomarkers in blood, aiming to catch cancer at the very earliest signs, before imaging might see it, could significantly improve outcomes.
Catching it ASAP. But also exploring why some never smokers with a specific lung cancer subtype have poorer outcomes.
Delving into the biological differences between lung cancers in never smokers versus smokers, hoping to understand why treatments might work differently and develop tailored approaches for never smokers. Highlights lung cancer isn't monolithic.
True. And an AI-powered blood test for identifying lung cancer.
Yes, analyzing patterns in blood biomarkers. Early studies suggest good accuracy, offering potential for less invasive, more accessible screening, a promising addition to the toolkit.
And another study reinforcing the critical importance of screening for high-risk individuals.
Yes, more evidence that screening, like with low-dose CT scans, leads to earlier detection when cancer is more treatable, improving survival rates. The case for screening keeps getting stronger.
Immunotherapy before and after surgery, perioperative improving outcomes for operable lung cancer.
Right. The idea is to hit microscopic spread before surgery and stimulate the immune system against any remaining cells after. A 1-2 punch to reduce recurrence risk.
Makes sense. And nanoparticle delivery of FCD4 to lung cells inhibiting progression.
FCD4 is involved in pathways promoting cancer growth. Delivering agents via nanoparticles to block FCD4 specifically in lung cells aims to disrupt those pathways and halt disease progression. Very targeted molecular intervention.
And a link between a colorless, odorless gas and rising lung cancer in never smokers.
Strongly suggests environmental factors beyond smoking are significant drivers. Identifying this gas and its mechanisms is crucial for public health measures to reduce exposure. Warrants urgent investigation.
Definitely. Engineered dendritic cells to enhance immunotherapy.
Yes, modifying these key immune cells in the lab to make them better at presenting cancer antigens to T cells, boosting the overall anti-tumor response. Supercharging the immune response.
AI predicting brain metastasis likelihood.
Potentially. Analyzing large data sets, AI might identify patterns associated with higher risk, allowing closer monitoring and earlier interventions. Predictive power could make a real difference.
Understanding the earliest cellular genesis of lung adenocarcinoma.
Studying those initial changes helps identify key drivers, potentially leading to prevention strategies or ways to target the cancer at its most vulnerable stage. Understanding the origin.
A genetic signature predicting immunotherapy response in NSCLC.
Yes, allowing for more personalized immunotherapy. Analyzing the tumor for this signature helps determine who's likely to respond well, avoiding ineffective treatments. Precision medicine in action.
A new inhalable therapy being hailed as a significant advancement.
Inhalable therapies deliver drugs directly to the lungs, higher concentration at the target, potentially fewer systemic side effects, a direct, localized approach. Makes sense for lung cancer.
Hidden flu fighters immune cells in the lungs. Implications for cancer.
Absolutely. Understanding how cancer interacts with these resident lung immune cells could reveal new immunotherapy strategies, potentially enlisting them in the fight. Harnessing natural defenses.
Lung cancer transforming from one type to another. A treatment challenge.
Yes, the new subtype might not respond to the original treatment. Understanding why this transformation happens is crucial for developing therapies to address this evolution and resistance, like the cancer-changing disguise.
And lung cancer hijacking immune cell metabolism to fuel itself.
A clever tactic, altering nearby immune cells to suppress their attack and actually provide fuel for cancer growth. Researchers are looking for ways to interfere with this hijacking, turning the tables.
Liquid biopsies predicting immunotherapy response and toxicity risk.
Yes, analyzing biomarkers in blood can identify patterns associated with good response or higher risk of side effects. Helps doctors personalize treatment and monitor high-risk patients closely. Valuable tool.
Allergy medicine potentially playing a role in treatment.
Another example of drug repurposing. Certain allergy meds might have anti-inflammatory or other properties that inhibit cancer growth. Still being researched. Unexpected potential benefits.
And repurposing licensed brain cancer drugs for secondary brain mets from lung cancer.
Makes sense. Secondary brain tumors often resemble primary ones. Using existing proven brain cancer drugs could offer quicker treatment options for these patients, leveraging existing knowledge.
Lung cancer cells having molecular memories. Epigenetics.
Yes. Epigenetic changes act like memories of past conditions, influencing gene expression. Understanding these memories could reveal new ways to target cells and overcome resistance. Fascinating concept.
The link between asbestos exposure and high lung cancer rates in naval veterans.
Underscores the long-term impact of occupational exposures. A critical reminder of the dangers and the need for protection.
Enhancing chemoradiotherapy sensitivity for mesothelioma.
Yes, exploring ways to make these aggressive cancer cells more susceptible to standard treatments, perhaps using combination therapies to overcome resistance. Important progress for a tough cancer.
A new target identified for overcoming drug resistance in general.
Huge potential. Finding a key molecular player in resistance across cancers offers a broad target. Blocking it could make many existing drugs more effective. Could be a game changer.
And new strategies specifically for overcoming chemo resistance in small cell lung cancer.
Exploring combinations targeting resistance mechanisms, novel agents, immunotherapy showing promise too, encouraging for this aggressive type.
Combination inhibitors slowing tumor growth.
Attacking multiple pathways simultaneously makes it harder for cancer to survive and resist. More comprehensive blockade. Promising preclinical signs.
New genes and natural toxins offering hope for chemo-resistant patients.
Expanding the toolkit. Identifying new gene targets or potent natural compounds provides alternatives when standard chemo fails.
Antioxidants stimulating tumor blood flow, a potential downside.
Surprisingly, yes. Increased blood flow can feed the tumor and potentially help it spread. Highlights the complex, context-dependent effects of compounds in the body, not always simple.
Insights from blood cells enhancing lung cancer therapies.
Studying how cancer interacts with immune cells in the blood can reveal ways to boost the anti-tumor response, leveraging noble defense units.
Diabetes drug for metastatic prostate cancer. More repurposing.
Shows the constant exploration for new applications of existing drugs across different cancers. Resourceful approach.
Improved therapies for selected patient groups. More personalization.
Tailoring therapy based on specific tumor characteristics, genetics, proteins aims for better outcomes in subgroups most likely to benefit. Targeted, hopefully more effective.
Pinpointing another protein linked to drug resistance.
Another piece in the resistance puzzle. Targeting it could make cells more susceptible to existing therapies.
Significant progress overall in small cell lung cancer research.
Growing momentum, better understanding of biology, new immunotherapies, targeted therapies being explored, much needed progress.
Fibroblast inhibitors, targeting the tumor's supportive tissue.
Right. Inhibiting fibroblasts in the tumor microenvironment can help anti-cancer drugs work better by removing barriers and support systems for the tumor, targeting the infrastructure.
New drug combo reducing lung tumors in mice.
Will likely hitting multiple vulnerabilities, encouraging preclinical results paving the way for human trials.
Uncovering how mitochondria function in cancer cells.
Understanding altered energy production in cancer mitochondria helps develop drugs to disrupt those processes, selectively killing cancer cells, targeting the energy factories.
And a discovery about potentially preventing breast cancer popping up again.
Just highlights the interconnectedness. Breakthroughs often cross over between cancer types.
New pathways found to activate dendritic cells for stronger anti-tumor immunity.
Identifying new ways to effectively activate these crucial immune cells could lead to more potent, targeted immunotherapies. Finding new triggers for the machinery.
Clinical trial showing improved disease-free survival in NSCLC.
A critical measure. means the treatment is effective not just initially, but also in preventing recurrence long-term. A major goal.
Identifying a specific genetic code change driving a common lung cancer type.
Provides a precise target for developing therapies specifically designed to attack cells with that mutation. The power of targeted therapy.
Cernache juice, inhibiting lung cancer in mice. Natural compounds.
Early days, animal models, but preclinical studies like this can uncover promising new avenues from nature for further investigation.
A novel bacterial therapy approach. Using engineered bacteria.
Very cutting edge. Using bacteria to selectively target and destroy cancer cells, potentially even stimulating the immune system. Fascinating. Different approach.
Linking muscle wasting severity to tumor characteristics in mice.
Understanding how tumor type, size, location contribute helps develop targeted interventions, nutrition, exercise, drugs to manage this debilitating side effect. Crucial for quality of life.
Carbon ultrafine particles accelerating lung cancer progression.
Underscores the impact of air pollution as a risk factor, even beyond initiation. Critical public health concern.
New protein insights improving detection and treatment.
Continuous discovery of key proteins fuels advances new biomarkers for detection, new targets for drugs.
Healthcare disparities. Minorities facing longer wait times for treatment.
A critical issue. Delays negatively impact outcomes. Systemic changes needed for equitable access to care.
Biosensor detecting brain tumors from a blood sample.
Potentially less invasive, more convenient diagnosis by detecting biomarkers in blood. Significant potential advancement.
Smoking as a major contributor to socioeconomic disparities in cancer.
Yes, higher smoking rates in lower socioeconomic groups, driven by complex factors, lead to unequal cancer burden. Addressing smoking is key for health equity.
Tumor-infiltrating B cells influencing early lung cancer and immunotherapy response.
Highlights the complex role of different immune cells in the tumor environment. Understanding B cells alongside T cells is crucial for optimizing immunotherapy.
How air pollution triggers lung cancer in never smokers. A mechanism discovered.
Groundbreaking research identifying how fine particulate matter exposure can initiate cancer in never smokers. Huge implications for public health policy and understanding environmental risks.
Revealing the structure of the RAF1 protein. Key for drug design.
Knowing the 3D structure is like having a blueprint. Allows scientists to design drugs that precisely bind to and inhibit this key cancer-driving protein.
Drug combo blocking resistance and halting tumor growth in mice.
Likely hitting multiple growth and resistance pathways simultaneously. Powerful effect in animal models, offering hope for overcoming resistance. Strong 1-2 punch.
Air pollution solidified as a risk factor for never smokers.
Growing scientific consensus underscores the urgent need for cleaner air and stronger environmental regulations.
New combination therapies showing early promise for certain lung cancers.
Continuous exploration of combos to find better outcomes than single agents, especially for specific molecular subtypes.
Another sophisticated liquid biopsy technique for early detection.
Rapid advances improving sensitivity and accuracy for finding cancer biomarkers in blood, revolutionizing early diagnosis and monitoring.
And a new genetic discovery aiming to improve treatment.
Continuous efforts to personalize therapy based on the unique genetic makeup of each tumor. Unlocking genetic complexity is essential.
Wow. That's an incredible amount of ground covered in both breast and lung cancer research.
Right.
Just phenomenal activity.
It truly is a rapidly evolving landscape. We've touched on exciting advancements across, so many fronts: detection, targeted therapies, risk factors, even prevention.
And for you, our listener, we really hope this deep dive gave you a clear, current snapshot of these dynamic fields.
Yeah.
It highlights just how much dedicated scientific discovery is happening.
Absolutely. And given this ever-increasing understanding, of how our bodies interact with cancer diet, environment, our own immune systems, it really does prompt a big question for you to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Looking ahead, what role do you think individual choices will ultimately play, both in preventing cancer and in shaping how we treat it in the future? Something to mull over.